I would recommend saying yes to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it very helpful.
Allow on every visit. Okay. Whoa, look at that. Also, you're just a little baby screen, which I kind of like. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it. Doesn't have to be long either.
No, not at all.
Motherfucker.
Are we ready to start the show?
Yeah, fuck it.
All right, welcome all you degenerates to the 15th episode of the Geeqoid Podcast. Erik Wesslen here with Jarrad Shaw.
Jarrad Shaw.
Yes. We got a few different things to talk about. Where do you want to start?
You showed me a trailer of a game. Normally you don't like showcase one singular game, but I watched the trailer. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, so the trailer we're referring to is Bungie's Marathon, which has been in development for quite a while, and then they just put out this new trailer. It's an ambitious sci-fi extraction shooter, I think is how you would describe it. Still unsure about all the game mechanics, but it looks really, really solid in terms of gameplay. I mean, that's what Bungie's known for, is like, I mean, they're creators of Halo and Destiny, and it's as far as first-person shooters go, like, they've got it down. My one question after watching this trailer is it too close to the original formula? Like, it just feels like Destiny with like a slightly different paint job.
It looks like, well, they only showed everybody fighting against each other, so it looked like Halo's PvP or like Overwatch's PvP, but with like this sci-fi software like theme sprinkled throughout the characters in the environment. I mean, even the blood looked like a weird like Splatoon-esque, ink going everywhere, and then when they died, they turned into another like brightly colored Splatoon digitized flavor. I mean, it looks cool. It's very like weird gray and like almost software-esque green and gray, with then all of a sudden these like bright blue and bright yellow and fluorescent green or whatever.
So, I mean, visually, yeah, it's different, but at the same time, like
it looks the same. It looks similar.
The movements, the gameplay, the gunplay, it harkens back to Destiny and Halo. But here's the thing: I mean, those have been very, very solid games,
and that's what they're good at too.
Yeah,
by the way,
like why would you mess with perfection?
Yeah,
but at the same time, what is the market craving? Is it craving another Destiny? Is it craving another Halo? Like, Halo Infinite has kind of fallen flat. Like it launched and then I haven't heard anything for months.
And I didn't hear actually that great of things at first, and then
it
slowly gained traction, but then it's just gone.
They did a lot of rework, and now, yeah, who knows? And also Destiny 2, like it's getting,
over.
It's getting long in the tooth. Like, what, 13th expansion or something like that? Like,
they finally put a finale. Like, whatever the story is for Destiny 2 they finally finished it. So then anything after that is just raids and WoW type stuff.
Yeah, which I mean, it is really challenging running a live service game for that long. So props to them for doing it. And I understand why you would want to do a new game, a new IP, a new franchise. And we'll see if it lands. We'll see if it hits.
I mean, they've had years of experience. They have years of working on different IP and taking different ideas. So this one looks like it is solely their own. So it could be everything they wanted to do and never could do. So I at least give them some kind of promise to that, promising thought in my head.
So here's an interesting thing about Bungie is that they were an independent studio. Mm-hmm. They created Halo for Microsoft. Mm-hmm. Microsoft then acquired all of Halo, and I think they actually acquired Bungie, if I'm not mistaken. And then Bungie effectively reacquired themselves out of Microsoft to create Destiny because they wanted, and then they did a partnership with Sony, and then also pulled out of they've been very adamant about maintaining their own individual ownership, which I find very interesting, and I also really admire.
Similar to IOI, so I'm wondering if this is like their first foray into trying to be like independent.
Yeah, and I think they've really made that clear too, with some of the things that they've said about Xbox accounts and PlayStation accounts, that you don't necessarily have to sign in. Like, as long as you sign with your Bungie account, you're good to go. Which is very interesting. You know what I'm going to try and do? I know a number of people who work at Bungie. I'm going to try and get someone on the show.
That'd be cool. That'd be super nice.
Yeah.
It was neat and nice all at the same time. Nice.
Super nice.
Super nice. That was super nice, dude.
It's probably not going to happen, but...
Side note, I learned from Digital Foundry, which is something our audience, if you're into video games and really getting technical specs and all that, the people keep going, man, this new Metroid game looks a whole lot like Halo. It's ex-developers who did Halo, whatever, 3, 4, and Infinity. So, yes, it should feel it should look and feel a whole lot like Halo. But I thought that was cool that Nintendo was like, who do we pick? People who have done this for many, many years. So Bungie, whatever Xbox is a 365
Mafia.
Yeah. I don't remember who does Halo anymore.
343 Studios.
343, that's it.
Which is, I mean, it's a studio within Microsoft.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. So beyond what Bungie is doing with Marathon, which is probably the most interesting gaming news, Apple is reportedly, this is unofficial, is trying to do 2 new sets of AR glasses based on their Vision Pro.
Oh, 2,
yes.
Not
2
just
new,
1.
2. So one that is more consumer grade, cheaper, and then another one that is more pro or developer that can actually plug directly into a Mac.
Oh, instead of having like a battery pack and whatever like that. That's
Or maybe just to simplify things so you don't have to like constantly like create, because like you're not creating stuff on the actual Vision Pro, you're creating it on your Mac, and then you have to transfer it, and then that's just pain. Like, why don't you just plug it in and go?
Yeah,
which make a lot of sense. I think they have so much money invested in this space, and I think they could actually be a leader when it comes to AR, VR, and everything. But they got to figure it out.
Yeah, I think they went so Mercedes-Benz or BMW or whatever you want to call it with the first one, and everybody's like, wow, this is amazing. But it was the battery life, the heft, and the price tag. And ultimately, it was the price tag.
Oh, yeah. It's hands down, the price tag was... It was preventative for almost everybody, except for the really high-end customers who price doesn't matter. I mean, they probably could have priced it at $5,000 and would have sold the exact same number of units.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, that's cool because I watched it so much. I watched other reviewers talk about it, still own it. I listen to podcasts where a select few people still use theirs, but they use it in such kind of dumb niche. Like, I watch a movie with it. Like, whew, you put a over $3,000 device over your head just so you watch a movie. Like, that kind of stinks. Like, if I'm going to spend that much, I want to be able to do more with it.
Spend $3,500 so I can watch a movie by myself.
Gross. Yeah, that's even more gross. Like, you're sitting next to your wife and you're like, wow, this movie's amazing. She's like, I hate you.
I've heard good things about like taking on a plane and watching movies on a plane like that. Okay, I can see that use case, but also like $3,500 just so I can watch a bigger screen on a plane. That's hard to justify.
And I've heard of people like YouTubers, again, you doing like editing, like video editing, and having like this digital display, multiple, that's bigger than their own 32-inch or 48 or whatever, monitor, and being able to do all this crazy work. But then it also gets into the heft. Like, after a couple of hours, this thing is heavy on your head. So, that sounds very promising because what they did was very ahead of the curve.
So, enough about Apple. I don't think you got any Apple news?
No, there's leaks right now of what the new design will look like. It's very interesting. I'll just say that, and not poorly. It's just very interesting.
I've seen the pictures. It is a significant departure from pre-existing, and by design you mean the camera layout.
Yeah. Yep. And then they're working on. There's multiple leaks currently of the iOS. And one thing nobody's said is if anybody Googles or searches on YouTube and sees like FPT right now has probably the leading leaks along with Bloomberg. If you look at the leaks of how they want to redesign the iOS, and then you you look at the design of the cameras on the back, the similarities are striking. Like, they're almost one-to-one of how the bubbles look on the screen to then flipping over to the back and looking at kind of the shape of the smaller 17 and then the bigger Pro. So I think that's neat. Will it sell? I don't know, but we'll see.
TBD, yeah.
TBD.
Also, who knows how much tariffs are going to impact things.
Yes, still a huge deal.
I'm setting up a great segue.
Yeah, go for it. The administration has delayed it. We're now less than 90 days.
A 90-day pause on tariffs.
What I heard is there are a lot of companies, Microsoft, Sony, Apple, and Nintendo, who are trying to get shipments in like right now.
I will tell you, we have suppliers that are like, we will ship you product ahead of you purchasing it just to hold on to it for us, so that you can sell it, and we'll ship it to you for free, and you just sit on it and sell it, and then send us the payments when you sell it. Like that. That is literally what's happening right now.
It's so dramatic.
It is crazy town right now. So we haven't heard anything from Nintendo yet, but given this update, I think the $450 price will most likely stand.
Yeah, and I think
consumers
with the administration, and then with the U.S. administration, and then also already knowing that they already have a small stockpile here. But yeah, it sounds like it's going to stand at the $450 mark.
Yeah, so I would expect to see pre-orders happen in the next week or two, would be my guess. I'm surprised we haven't seen them already. But Nintendo is a cautious player. Like they don't rush things. They're very methodical. So I understand that they're taking their time, seeing how things play out. And they're like, all right, once we know we're good to go, now we'll put the pre-orders in place, because they don't want to revoke pre-orders. That would just be way too messy. On top of that, I gotta say, this news that Nintendo, I love you, but man, this is a huge faux pas. Releasing Breath of the Wild for $70.
Not only that,
but without the DLC.
Yes, you still have to buy the DLC, the same DLC that came out, whatever, months to a year after the launch, all for the same price. And then you still want to get that upgrade pack? You got to pay for that too.
Oh my God. It is
unbelievable.
It's a terrible money grab. The one thing, one saving grace, I think, would be that, here's the thing. You can always drop the price and lower it, but you can never raise the price. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's $70 out the gate, but you know what? They'll probably do a 50% cut.
They usually do
really quickly.
Well, so Nintendo is notorious for never doing that except for Black Friday. So Black Friday is the only time of the year that Nintendo will do a discount. Now, their discounts are pretty impressive. Like, they don't do 50. They'll do 60, 70. Yeah. But no, they are the one company out of the three that... the Switch 1 is still selling at $299. 8 years later, it's never had a cut. Never had a discount, and they've never done that. They always just, this is what it is. There are more people who are getting on board for the 450 because people like Digital Foundry are like just breaking these pieces apart and then sharing them, to the point that even Digital Foundry, the co-founder, I can't remember his name at the moment, an English fellow, he's been on other people's podcasts because he's just so much knowledge. So IGN has one called Nintendo Voice Chat, NVC, and he was on that and really broke down, you know, the other capabilities that the Switch have, VRR and DLSS, which hasn't really been shown yet, but the VRR has been shown, DLSS, and other architecture that is on this NVIDIA chip, to the point that he goes, we're comparing it to PS4. And graphics-wise, it's pretty similar. However, PS4 did not have VRR and DLSS and ray tracing. And so he goes, right now, I think we're going to see PS4 level type games, minus Metroid 4. But in the future, as these people dig in and see what can be brought up, it's going to be some... He's theorizing, just like Switch 1 with Tears of the Kingdom, that was a very lofty game for such a small, very old-school tech console. So he... I think the 450 is starting to become more of like a, okay, we get it. Also, analysts have looked at, like, unfortunately, the inflation in the years, 8 years from Switch to Switch 2. And if Switch 1 sold, even with the tech, it would be at $390. So 450 is becoming more like, okay, all right, fair.
Yeah, makes sense. To that point, I think there's something to be said about DLSS. Like, it's oftentimes an afterthought because it's been mostly a PC gaming enhancement, and it's dependent on what video card you have. But consumers, they don't have to know about DLSS. It's just a part of the experience. Like, their frame rates are going to be improved as a result of it. Like, the average consumer doesn't need to know that DLSS is enabled. And it's just something that gets turned on the back end, it might as well just be incorporated into the game engine and the rendering system. So it's consumer is just going to have a better experience.
Right.
At the end of the day, what's going to happen?
And it'll be dependent on the developer, what they use. We don't know yet which type of DLSS. I didn't know there's technically 4 different DLSSs, and they're just numbered 1 through 4. And then allegedly, and I say allegedly,
they're
there's
tied
also a
to
light.
the cards that NVIDIA has put out over the years. So yeah, we don't know exactly which architecture that this one is tied to, which is very surprising. I'm kind of I don't know why they would be hush hush, unless it's just completely independent of the RTX architecture, which it could be. Mm-hmm. It could be custom developed, which now the more I think about it in the last 10 seconds, it probably is. So yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's just the odd pricing all over the place, and this dependent on how much work or how much money they think they're going to get out of each game is now the thing that everybody is kind of going and just trying to wrap their head around it. At first, they were all angry, and now they're just trying to understand it.
I mean, here's the thing. I was listening to another podcast, and there's a great call out that all these tariffs are happening, but typically there aren't tariffs on digital purchases. So SaaS software, movies, and anything that doesn't have a physical entity, which is where the majority of the game industry is going. There's no tariffs on that. It's literally just the hardware, and most of the time, the manufacturers and producers take a loss on the hardware to begin with. I know Sony and Microsoft traditionally have. I think Nintendo has tried to avoid that.
Yes.
I think they try to break even, but here's the thing. Even if they take a 10% loss on a Switch 2 unit, at the end of the day, they're going to reap a ton of income based on digital purchases. So I really do think the $450 price is going to stay intact regardless of what happens.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I did listen to somebody, and they and sorry, folks, I would say who it's from so you could listen to it yourself as well. And I honestly don't remember. I've been reading so much, listening so much, and watching so much that it all kind of blurs together. But I thought it interesting Nintendo's approach to their game cartridges, where they're more a code to then be able to download the game. And I went, well, why are they doing that? Because their cartridges themselves can only hold, I think, a max of 64 gigs. And they're introducing all these new third parties that 64 gigs is not going to cut it on their little cartridges that stick into the game.
Yeah.
And so Elden Ring and so forth need that additional oomph, need the system itself to be able to hold it, or to hold it, digitally into the cloud. So I thought that was kind of new, a new concept for me to wrap my head. Instead of a digital, it's kind of this combo, but with the understanding that, yeah, we can't fit these games on these cartridges. So you need kind of this blending, almost like old and new, into something new in and of itself.
It makes sense, but at the same time, I really struggle with how unoptimized a lot of these games are today. The last time I downloaded a Call of Duty game, it was 128 gigs.
Good Lord.
Why? What the actual fuck? It's literally just army men running around with the different colored guns. Come on. So like I understand the frustration. I understand why like develop like, but I have friends in the industry who like really strive for optimization and like put out solid games that are smaller than you could conceivably imagine. So shout out to Grace and Wendell, good friend of mine, who's constantly putting out games that are redefining the existing genres that he works in. But here's the thing. Me and Grayson, like when we were working on Doom 2 RPG, like we had to pack that game into a few kilobytes. like the optimization that went in, like it was so difficult. And now today it's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't
128 gigabytes.
Yeah. And I know bandwidth is relatively cheap now, but the consumer experience does matter at the end of the day. So if you got to spend however many hours downloading an update for a game that you purchased physically and you plugged into your thing, like that's just not a good experience.
Well, it's a domino effect too of like, okay, I have these games and I can use cloud, but then on the other end, like I also need more storage. And so then I have to spend money to buy 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, storage upgrades. So there's an effect upon the effect.
Yeah. And the industry has been enabling this behavior because they're like, oh, you can preload the game 3 days in advance because they know it's going to take you 3 days to download all the bits required to freaking run it.
Yeah, and we did that even 2011 and 12 before you left. We would still like, okay, if you're going to get that game, you better get it early and then we'll play tomorrow. Hey, don't let it turn off or go to sleep. Oh, my God.
Oh, my Lanta. Do I have something on my face?
No, I had a mustache hair tickling my nose.
I don't have any more topics. It's been a roughly quiet week.
Same. I swear I thought...
Oh, we were going to talk Hearthstone.
Yes, I have not played it at all because of and I didn't want to tell you. I felt bad. When you text me, you're like, ooh, and your opinion. I haven't played any of it because a current job is many hours, and then the drive there and back is many hours. And so then I just have very little time to then cook dinner, be with my wife, and spend what little time to then rinse and repeat. So, yeah, it's been a slow but hectic week for me.
But we did play a little bit last week.
We did.
And I've played a bunch since.
I don't think I won a single game, which is a first for me. But it makes sense. I've been
I know all the new mechanics.
Yeah, and I have very few cards. But I think the new abilities, even the artwork, the scene, the theme of this Emerald Garden, and these two kind of like a heaven and hell type thing with demons, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's very well done, and honestly, I'm excited for the bonus expansion because I don't know where they're going to take it. So here's my one gripe, and this exists with a number of the previous expansions as well, is that you do something. So one of the new mechanics is Imbue, which allows you to change and upgrade your hero power. Mm-hmm. But it's only available for some of the classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not all of them. I don't want to call the developers lazy, because I know they're not. but it's frustrating because like you play class and you're like, oh, everyone else gets to upgrade their hero power except for me. But the same thing happened with the previous expansion, or maybe not the previous one, but the one before, with the whole extraction mechanic, or excavation, I should say.
Excavation.
Yeah, so like only 3/4 of the classes could actually excavate. The other classes were like, yeah, you can excavate, but you're not going to get anything at the end of this golden road that you're on.
And some weren't worth it. The ones that could do it, you're like, this will take 15 minutes before I get to whatever that legendary card creature ability. And I was like, brr.
Exactly. So it's that same frustration that only some of the classes have this ability. And I would love to understand from the producer, from the designer, the rhyme or reason why you restrict certain classes from having this, or why not. So to any Blizzard people who work on Hearthstone, come on the show. Let's talk about it.
Where can they reach you at, Erik?
You can find me on X and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at Geeqoid, or at Erik Wesslen on all the things.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, the first time they introduced this hero power change ability was way back, tournament or whatever. I don't remember. Not tournament at Camelot. That's a board game, old one. But it was some tournament. It was like their 4th expansion. And it was a card. The card would allow you, and most of those were neutral cards. So anybody could use it. And then it changed depending on which class had that card.
Yeah, it was a simple upgrade. Instead of 2 health, you get 3 health, or 2 damage, you get 3 damage.
Yeah, or you don't take damage when you draw a card. Your lifesteal, your siphon, whatever it was. Yeah, great. Just simplify it. And then not segregate it. It was universal.
But here's the thing. The new imbue power is, it radically changes your hero power.
Oh, yeah.
And
like Saiyan level 40.
I would argue it's a little imbalanced right now, and I would not be surprised if we see some changes in some upcoming patches.
It usually happens. Yeah, the first month they're like, ooh, we made OP stuff, because once it goes to the audience sees configurations that even they didn't see, and they go, whoa.
Yeah. I haven't checked power rankings, but Paladin seems really overpowered. They're like, oh, I can just put 10/10 dragons into my deck in perpetuity at 2 at a time that just get summoned when they're drawn. Okay,
oh,
great.
Wow. Man, I gotta build a deck. That sounds amazing.
As someone who plays Paladin, I think you'll really like it.
Sounds great.
So there's definitely some imbalances, but also like it's that great asymmetric gameplay that you like, and I think why Hearthstone has persisted for 10 plus years is that it's like, oh, you can have one deck that is good against other decks, and then it gets absolutely trounced by a different type.
Yeah, and it's still, even within that, it's still a much more simplified as far as how many cards are in a deck, how many, multiples you can have of a single card in a deck. It's just still a more simplified way of doing a TCG deck building game than Magic or other of its ilk.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking about this earlier today too, thinking about different game mechanics, ways to implement them, and the differences between physical games and digital games is like the whole discovery mechanic, which is very, very core to Hearthstone. It's like, oh, you want to discover a card, like that's not something you can do with a physical game. I mean, you could probably figure out a weird way to swing it, but not in the same way that you can do with a purely digital game.
No. The Starship idea was also an interesting thing you could probably do to some degree, but not in many of the ways of like this weird upgrade and then having this just new thing on the board for you to utilize, or hero powers.
Well, but also like the way it's like, oh, distribute 10, 12 damage randomly. I suppose you could figure that out, but like, do you
you'd have
want to do that manually?
No, it'd take forever. You'd be rolling a d20 over and over again, and then assigning one, whatever it is, 1 to 5, and so on and so forth, to which card and which person. It would be horrible. And some of the ways that they built the game, you would almost need like two other decks to then shuffle through and then add to your core deck. It'd be, God. No. You'd have a Magic deck of 60, and then you'd have 2 other decks of 60 to then add to that. God
and then
bless.
you'd like, for tournament play, you'd need to have people inspect those decks to make sure that everything was above board. And
oh, wow.
like,
And they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. This card would go to
you
this
can only
card.
have 3 of these or 4 of these or 2 of these. Like, it just, forget it. So I really like how the digital TCG space has expanded. I don't love how much money is required to sink into it to just get to a playable level.
Yeah,
like,
it
I
feels
probably
like
spend more money on Hearthstone than I do on any other game throughout the year.
Oh, yeah. Even
Which
when I was doing well and like earning gold, I'd still, and it seems to be getting more expensive.
Here's my purchasing. Like I spend $20 every quarter on the Tavern Pass. That's all I spend. But that's $80 a year, which is more than the cost of any vanilla game.
Currently,
yes. So like it's amazing how much the recurring revenue that Hearthstone generates. Like they have so many purchases on top of that. Like it probably doesn't beat World of Warcraft, but it's probably their second highest earning game.
yeah. And I'll add to that, when they do like a 50% off on packs where normally they're $2, and all of a sudden you can get 10 or 20 packs for $1 each. Oh, I'm totally on it.
Oh yeah, I'll probably
There's another $20.
slip them a 5 or a 10.
Yeah. I'm usually a pretty constant. Here's another 20. Here's another 20. Here's another 20.
I did want to bring up one thing. This is totally like I don't have a segue. So we watched Anora last night, which won Academy Best Picture.
Man, I am so off on my movie game.
So they spent the budget for the movie was $5 million. They spent $7 million, if I'm not mistaken, on basically campaigning for Best Picture. So they spent more money on campaigning than they did the actual movie.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But the Academy Awards are very political at the end of the day. That's the reason why Nolan wins every time he has that picture, because he guarantees there's a $45 million budget for his Best Picture campaign.
Yeah.
But it was a really good movie. Rachel and I both enjoyed it. There were a ton of boobs.
Yeah. The very quick synopsis is a young sex worker from Brooklyn meets and impulsively marries the son of a oligarch?
Russian oligarch.
Oh, oligarch. Oh. And it's a romance.
There's not a lot of romance. It's a lot of
50 Shades.
Bees. Yeah, well, yeah. A lot of stripper activity, and then a lot of where'd this guy go? We got to hunt him down.
Okay.
I don't know where they got romance from. There was a lot of romance in the movie.
But it was good.
Yeah, I would highly. It's a little bit long, but I would highly recommend the movie.
Okay. Sean Baker directed it. Okay.
Who's into a lot of X-rated stuff. I looked up his repertoire. It's like he's done a lot of stuff with strippers and pornographers.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was like, oh, this movie makes sense.
Wow. All right. I sound so old school right now. I'm like, oh, gosh. Oh, I don't know. I watched the trailer for Tron Ares. You need to watch it. It's very minimal in what they're showing, but you see cycles going across, looks like Brooklyn Bridge, and cutting a police car in half. And you see one of the spaceship assault whatever things floating through downtown New York, it looks like. And then a tank driving down the road and blowing things up.
As much as I hate the recycling of franchises, like this is the one that I'm super psyched to see more of.
Me too.
So
I'm curious what Jarrad
feed me
Leto's-
all the Tron.
Yeah. I don't know who the new hero is going to be. It looks like another young guy. And then Jarrad Leto, I believe, is the new bad guy. And then somehow Jeff Bridges is still in there kicking it. Go you.
Go Jeff.
Go Jeff. That old man will not stop. Kick ass.
All right. We should probably wrap it. You got to go to yoga.
I got to go to yoga.
I got to see how my kid's doing.
Yeah.
So do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up or a +1 on literally any of the places you find podcasts.
Or follow, yeah.
Or follow. Or, you know what? I think we're going to have a newsletter coming out next week.
Or rate us. Something above a 3 would be nice. If not, I get it.
Likely a 5 would be perfect.
Yeah. If you thumbs down twice.
What?
If you thumbs down twice, it just equals itself out. Thumbs down twice.
2 negatives is positive.
Yeah.
And on that note, peace out, bitches.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
End of transmission.